Greetings. I'm about to make a video that I'm not even sure I will publish. It's about a subject. It's actually a video response to... it's actually a video response to a video response to a video that was put up by Becca over at Night Owl Tarot or whatever. I think it's Night Owl. Here, I'll put a link to her original video. Simon over at Hermit's Cave did a video response to her video. And I want to say that both of them spoke eloquently and very kindly on a subject about whether or not they feel there is a community here within on YouTube, particularly a tarot community, I believe. What their thoughts were about it and what their thoughts were about people that felt that we are lacking a community or that some are feeling excluded from the community. I listened to both Simon and Becca's videos. Excuse me a minute. Lila, Bayan, leave it. We're watching two other golden retrievers this week for a friend of ours. So we have a total of 4 golden retrievers in this very small 10 by 10, or 10 by 11 or 10 by 10 parlor of mine, all wanting to try to go under my table. It might end in a disaster, so the camera's been moved only once. Hopefully that's not a big problem. And anyway, I go back to my subject. Both Simon and Becca made very strong points about the community, their feelings about the community, their feelings about the openness of the community, their welcoming others into the community. They were very nice. And I should have left it at that. But I'm answering it. I'm going to make a response only because I feel I may represent people that maybe are not being represented at this time. I want to give a little background if I can. I've been on YouTube here since 2011 as a viewer, 2013 I made my first videos in 2013. So 6 years of making videos here within what was then the pagan community. And things were really different then. I sound like an old woman who's talking about, oh, the good old days. I don't mean to do that, but they really were different at that time. People tended to make videos about 20 minutes in length. Sometimes I think the longest videos were maybe 40. I made one that was maybe 50 one day and was criticized for taking up people's time with 50 minutes, even though I assured them they could, push stop and come back at any time and watch the rest of the video. But they were what we considered the average length to be about 20 minutes or so videos. And we talked about spiritual things. We shared altar tours. We showed each other how to do different things, like maybe how we made poppets or we made candles or whatever. Talked about how we celebrated and just basically got to know each other through YouTube. People knew each other's, where their altars were. We knew the names of their children. We knew their pets. We knew their yards. We knew their... Okay, come on, get out of there. Who's under there? Louis? Lila? Leave it. Good girl. At any rate, we knew, and I shared those things back with my videos. So we really did get to know each other pretty intimately for people who really never would probably see each other physically. And it was a really wonderful thing. And this was the pagan community. And I have to say that most of those people, I kind of formed really true friendships with a lot of them, but I have to say Most of them are not even on YouTube anymore. They've gone their ways. And I miss them a lot. I'm one that remains. I never was a part of the, there was a, maybe there was first string, second string players in the community. And some of the first string players, the big, really big ones, are still kind of around today. But for the most part, there was a place for everybody. And there was a lot of sharing of channels. Like if you would find somebody who didn't have any viewers, who was pretty new, and you thought that was really cool, we would do a shout out for those people. And the coolest feature on YouTube was there was a possibility to do a video response as an automatic. It was like a setting on YouTube. If you wanted to respond to somebody, you could just say, I want to make a video response, and then it would make this special little thing, and that person would be tagged on your video so that they were sure not to miss your video. And that was a really good way to keep in touch and to make sure everybody was heard. Perhaps it was a smaller group then. I think it probably was. 6 years later, there's a lot more people making videos, perhaps. But there's some other things that have changed, that I think have changed some of the dynamics of what people tend to think of as a community. The one major thing I want to say that has affected me. Ouch! I'm not sure about this. Louie, Bayan, come here. Come here. Yes, you're a good girl. Good girl, Bella. Okay, good girl. I'm not going to lay down. Lay down. For the most part, even with some people leaving, as they did, the remaining members of the community did, thrived for pretty well. But there seemed to be all of a sudden, there seemed to be some, I don't know if it was power struggles or what was going on, but there seemed to be maybe, I'm bigger than you or whatever. I don't know what was happening. But there was some infighting and some, really, I want to say, witch wars were happening. And a lot of people left as a result of that because they just couldn't take the pressure. There was sort of an ugly, some ugly, an ugliness, let's just say, inside of the community, which did not play nice. And there were a lot of feelings hurt and a lot of trouble made. And it really did a lot to destroy what was going on in the community. And some of us continued to thrive because we were able to stay clear. I was never really touched by any of that too much, other than I saw some of my friends hurt and couldn't help them. But nobody ever attacked me or anything like that. But as a result, I did lose a lot of face time, so to speak, with these people that I had come to really be very fond of. I mentioned that community was a pagan community. It was a lot of people who shared spiritual things, who shared, perhaps a lot of them identified as being witches, but also they shared some different divination forms that they were using, and ideas, tarot being one of them. I think that's true of a lot of pagans, or even of witches, if we want to say, that they usually do some kind of divination, or are fond of it, even if they do it themselves. They maybe have people read for them, whatever. And I came to realize just a couple years ago that there was a pretty big of a division between what we would call the tarot community and what was left of the pagan community, or even the witch community, if we wanted to say. Not that they did not cross over in places, they really did cross over, but they were really pretty much two distinct places, with leaders in both cases, in both communities. There were leaders, people who just were very popular, people liked a lot, and people gravitated to for good reason. And it sort of helped this community that was really, really growing to divide up into sub areas with some crossovers. There some are very obvious, like Joey Morris. I could say Joey Morris, or well, I could say Lady Grave Dancer. People probably in both communities would know who I was talking about. Okay. So there was some crossover. But anyway, I found what happened. I went to the tarot community. I'm making it really long. I don't mean to be long about this, but I'm really trying to explain, because I think I represent not only myself, but some other people. So I wanted to just sort of make clear what things have been like for me. Traveled over into the tarot community, and I was a relief when I got over there, because I found, unlike the witches, the witches in the pagan community, and I don't speak ill of witches because I do identify as being a witch, so I don't speak ill of anybody there, but not all witches play so nice. And in the tarot community, everybody seemed, at least on the surface, everybody seemed to be very welcoming, very kind, very accepting, etc. And this point was made very eloquently, I did say, by both Simon and by Becca on this subject, and I agree wholeheartedly. It's a kinder, gentler division of the pagan community, or of the whatever kind of community, spiritual community, whatever we want to call it. Okay. So, and it was fascinating, but I ran into something that I did not know when I came over there, and that was the tarot, the idea of collecting tarot cards. And at the very beginning, I was worried, because I thought I had at that time perhaps maybe 4 or 5 decks, but I had one deck that I used exclusively for reading, and that deck I had used, for over 40 years, and I wasn't about to, I didn't think I was about to change my ways and go out and start spending a fortune on new tarot cards at that time. And I thought, will I ever fit in here? Is there a place for me in here? Well, I found, yes, there was a lot of things that I could get out of the community and participate in with the community. I thought it worked well. And also, I opened up and I started purchasing a few new decks, and I started, to participate. And do a lot of my videos started to be on tarot. I even created a playlist on my channel so that anything having to do with tarot was on one playlist, so people could see. People that were my subscribers who were not interested in tarot didn't have to bother. But people who only wanted to hear about tarot and didn't want to bother with anything else, making puppets or making witch's jar or whatever, didn't have to bother with it. They could go straight to tarot. And I thought that was wonderful. I could do that. And how wonderful and anxious I was. I even at the beginning of this year participated, because I still I still didn't know anybody. Okay. So I participated in January in the 31 Days of Tarot, whatever it was, where every day of January we were publishing some subject on tarot. And I thought, oh, that'd be wonderful, because at least, it was so hard for me to do, I have to say. First of all, it was hard for me to put out a video every day. Second, it was hard for me to put out, I've been putting out my tarot videos, I couldn't put out other videos. So I was really, some of my subscribers who are not interested in tarot were getting a little cross me, and I do think I lost some subscribers in the interim. But I thought, it'll be okay, it'll work out. It's just 31 days, and I published, and I thought, I'm going to pick up some tarot friends along the way. I'm going to pick up some friends within the tarot, because I thought, I'm reading their posts, maybe they're reading mine too. I don't think that was really the case. I don't really think that was the case. If it is the case, I apologize, but it did not work that way for me. And I was really kind of at a loss why. Now, I do want to say, as a YouTuber of 6 years, it took me 4 years to reach the 1,000 subscribers level. 1,000 subscribers. 4 years. And not that I was trying to get more subscribers, but I was seeing other people just overnight, grow giant. And I was not. And I wasn't sure why. I think there's a lot of reasons why. But, I thought, everybody at the time was having video responses. They were doing these video responses. They were doing giveaways for having 1,000 subscribers. They were doing giveaways. And everybody was doing tags. And oh, I love the tags. And I tried to participate in the tags as much as I could. And I spent some time, a good bit of time, trying to write a really good tag for people. If they wanted to enter the giveaway, they could answer the tag. And then their names would go in the hat. And whoever I pulled on the certain day would win a really cool prize. I thought a really good prize. Okay, so I wrote the questions, and oh, I think they were so good. I was so excited, and I sat there waiting for people to enter. And I had one person enter the giveaway. Out of 1,000, I had one person enter. And I realized, just because it says you have 1,000 subscribers, it means that 1,000 people have, over the 4 years or whatever, pushed that button to subscribe. But it doesn't mean they're coming and watching. We know that. We only get how many to get a day if you watch. That's true of everybody, no matter how many numbers you have. But I was kind of gobsmacked that I have one person wanted to, first of all, enter and get a prize. Maybe they didn't care about a prize, but one person wanted to do a tag when other people put up tags that I didn't think even some of those tags were that great. People jump all over the tags, like people really wanted to look at the tags. And I couldn't figure it out. But I want to say, joining the tarot 31-day tarot challenge, I believe I increased that month several hundred, maybe, I don't know, subscribers. I mean, I really did grow very quickly that month. What it told me was, I think there were more people in the tarot community watching whatever I'm showing than maybe in the other community. I think that's what I was trying to say. Okay, just let me have a little drink here of my water. My little water here. Okay. What's different though? That's sort of my sob story. And I don't mean it as a sob story because honestly, I'm not in it for the numbers. The subscribers that I have are wonderful and very kind, and I have lots of friends. I'm not lonely. I'm not terrifically lonely or anything. I don't mean that. But I do know that there are people that lack some of the self-confidence that I have, that are kind of in the same position as me, and that's the reason for me to make this respond video. And please understand, I'm not complaining, I'm not criticizing, I'm not accusing. I just want to maybe offer another viewpoint, if you would let me, on the subject. There's been a couple of little points I have. And I'm looking down because I wrote down these 3 points that I just somehow want to work into this conversation if I can. One thing that is a big change, I know for me, and I think perhaps is for other people, is the location of the so-called community. Where it used to be, we talked among ourselves with video to video. I made a video, 20-minute video. Other people made 20-minute videos. I'd put mine up, then I'd sit and watch theirs, and then I'd respond to somebody's, or I'd make another one like it, so I got the idea from such and such. Or I'd say, oh, you should see this person over, blah, blah, blah. Make the video, and that way it really felt like a community because we really did know each other pretty intimately. People knew my husband, they knew we were retired, they knew we had gardens, they knew we have golden retrievers, they knew we live in Southern California. They knew, we're history buffs. Both of us are big cooks, we're musicians. People know these things about us because they've seen our videos, okay? All of a sudden, people started these live chats. I just said, and I don't mean to say live chats like, oh, these live chats like venereal disease. I don't mean that. There's nothing wrong with them. I think they sound wonderful because I know I love to have live chats. I love to have FaceTime or Skype with people that I've met here on YouTube. I have FaceTime with them or Skype or do tarot readings for people that way. I love it. I love to have a one-on-one thing with people, being able to answer directly without having to type out answers and stuff, which is tedious. But I want to say something. The live chats, the location of the community is seems to be within the live chat community. At least when I listened to the explanation from Becca and Simon, both of them refer numerous times to their live chat broadcasts. And that's wonderful. But that limits the people that can participate in your live chat are limited by time zone, number one. You know, Simon lives, and Becca, Becca live, what, 8 hours ahead of me or in the future? They live in the future somewhere. And I do not. If things are coming up on the weekend, and I'm usually out on the weekend, or if things are, whatever, sometimes there's somebody else who did one, I think it was dinner time. It's just hard. It's hard if you're in different time zones. That happens to everybody, and I understand that. But, yes, we have the replay of the chat. We can have the replay, and I can listen to what you guys said after the fact at my leisure. I can even read some of the comments as they were going down and on my leisure. But I can't participate. Okay. If I cannot participate, the participation can only happen if I am live, when we're live. Okay? And the other thing, there's two other points I want to make about that. Number one is some of these chats go on for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours. Okay. If I just take 5 people that I really love watching that are doing these live chats, and each one of them does 2 hours, it's like an entire day. That's like an entire day for me to sit and watch. There are some people who want to come on every day and have these big long chats. Now, if I can't commit to watching them, it's my problem. Yes, I understand that. But they're also tying up the airwaves. While people are watching them for 2.5 hours, people aren't watching anybody else for sure. Do you see what I mean? It's like becoming this big thing. Okay. And also in the live chats, there's a couple things that happen within the live chat that are off-putting to me. Number one is, I think the word used was cliques, and people say they had a feeling that there was a clique. I think where that is coming from, if I can say this without, again, offending, or I'm not accusing, but I want to say where I think the beginnings of these feelings come from, are the fact that we go on the live chat, and I've tried to look at them. A couple of times I've tried to catch a few minutes of them live. Like I sometimes get the very tail end of a few of them. Or towards the end. And when I don't come in, well, anyway. There's a lot of using modern names, And, oh, there's Sue. Oh, there's Brad. Oh, there's Dave. Oh, there's Joan. And I'm looking for Sue and Brad and Dave and Joan in the comments. Who are they talking to? And I don't see that. I see, Moonlight Spirit, or, Talks to Owls, or I Eat Apple Butter, or whatever. I don't see their names. So who are they talking to? It's like they're speaking a secret language. It's like they are the only ones that know people by their real name. If I don't know the real name, I don't know who they're talking to, all of a sudden that's an inner circle, you see. That's an inner circle that has been created, that I'm on the outside of. Inside jokes. I see this a lot in the SCA. I'm in the SCA, Historical Recreation Society. And in the SCA, were to have persona names, we have a name of somebody who might have lived in the 14th century or whatever, that's me. And in the 14th century, I'm known as, this is my name. And when we're in SCA events, people call me by that name. They don't call me Rebecca. They call me Bill. Okay? But what has happened in the SCA a little bit is some people, they use this, oh, I'm going to call you Joe instead of Dole. I'm going to call you Joe. They call him Joe. And then people don't know who they're talking about. And it's like, oh, I know him better than you, so I can call him by his real name. It's kind of this feeling. It's not a nice kind of a feeling that you get it from the outside. And I think I carried some of that prejudice over when I hear that, which I'm aware that that's a prejudice, so I dismiss it, of course, immediately. I know there's no malice. I know there's nothing like that intended. Again, please don't take offense. But somebody else, maybe somebody who's not as mature as me, I'm not sure, but, who doesn't maybe have the years of experience that I have with this, would say that's kind of excluding. It excludes. If I don't know who you're talking to or about, because I don't know their real name, kind of infers that there's a group of people, of friends, that I don't know anything about. Okay? One more point I really want to make. And this is probably a really bad video, I'm really sorry. Is, just like in the beginning, I did my best. I did video responses. I did, in the old days, I did tags. I did, private messages. I commented, etc. And that's how I got, or people called out my channel, and that's how I got people to come to my channel. But I didn't get all of them. There were people then that didn't want anything to do with me, like they just pick and choose. People pick and choose who they want. There was a woman who lived in San Diego who bemoaned. She was very jealous because there was a group of witches around Texas. I think everybody knows who I mean. They lived in Texas, and they used to get together for meetups all the time in Texas. And some people even would fly there from other parts of the country to be there, to be together. And they did this quite often, and they would film gatherings they had in their homes, or gatherings they had when they would go out to someplace fun. And they would have so much fun, and they'd have all this inside joking, and we could watch them having fun. Which, that's understandable. But this woman in San Diego, it's people in Texas, let's be honest, and not everybody can go to Texas. But they were very welcoming. If you wanted to come to Texas and be a part of it, you were very welcome to come. They did not exclude anybody. But it's a financial thing for most people. But anyway, there was a woman who lived in San Diego who would bemoan and, she'd whine and cry and gripe constantly because she was all by herself, and she was so jealous that these witches got to get together and go, crystal hunting, or go to lunch, or go to whatever they did, go for barbecue, whatever they did. They did stuff all the time. And she couldn't go because she lived in San Diego, boo-hoo. She just couldn't go. And she constantly was saying how horrible it was to live and be so isolated from anybody who has anything in common with you at all. I can't tell you how many times I tried to contact her. I tried to contact her several times and say, you're not alone. I live here. I don't live in San Diego, but I live very close to San Diego. I can travel to San Diego very easily. My husband used to go daily to work and back in San Diego. It's very doable. If you wanted to get together sometime, I would love to have a meetup with you. And I know there's a few other people, other witches around, I know. I even mentioned who some of them were, So one lives, very famous one lives right down the road from me. Was very, very, at that time particularly, everybody really knew who she was. I said maybe she'd like to meet up. We could maybe get some people together and do something. Never heard a word. Never heard a word. She was picking and choosing. She wanted, she wanted to be one of the cool kids. So I get that. I get that. But when that kind of thing happens to you a few times, you just kind of, and you leave comments. I have tagged people. I have done video responses to people. I have said, here's a video I did. I have sent people tarot spreads that I worked really hard on that I think were really good spreads, and asked them if they would tell me what they think of them. I don't get any response. Most of the time I get no response. So I take it with a grain of salt. I know people have other things they're doing, or they're busy, or they ever get overlooked. I don't take it too personally. I don't believe. But I'm saying these things happen to me. I'm sure they happen to other people too. So it's not always a matter of waiting for people to come to us and trying to be involved in what you're doing. The final point that I really want to make is, we use the word community. And Simon, I appreciate it a lot. I did, that you went to the trouble of really looking up the definitions of some of these words. I also have to say I appreciate it a lot you saying the word clique, because that was so cute. I could have died, and I'm not making fun of you. I just think it's so cute with your little accent. They say clique, even though that's probably the absolute way to pronounce it because it's a French word, isn't it? And it is probably clique, but we say click. And the only reason I'm bringing it up is if I was looking away, I was just listening to you. At the time I wasn't looking at the screen or anything, so I did not see the word on the screen. I just heard you say clique, and I'm going, clique? What in the hell's a clique? I didn't know what you meant. So now that I know what you meant, oh, it was so cute. So anyway, I was appreciating you saying the word clique, because we love a man with an accent or a lady with an accent. We love it. But anyway, you worked very hard to make sure that people understood what the terms, community meant, or community meant, or clique meant, or friend, or whatever. And I think that was important, that we say that, because if people are going to use these words in discussion, we need to have you on the same page in definition. But for me, I want to say one thing more, and then I'll stop. When I talk of my early days on YouTube and the friendships that I formed at those times, even if they were just friendships on the internet, if I know somebody's children's names, or I know where they live and what their house looks like inside, and what the altar is dressed as, and sometimes what they do for a living, or where they went on vacation, or where they went to lunch, and they know where I go to lunch and where I live, and they know about my garden, and they know about you see, we know about each other's things. We grow to know each other. We grow to become acquaintances that have things in common. We come together to talk about the things we have in common and to share our ideas. That's a community. That's very much a community. When I go on to watch now, particularly on a live stream, whether I'm on it live or I'm on the replay, or if I'm just watching somebody's channel that does not watch my videos, that does not participate in dialogue with me with comments, that does not answer questions that may be asked of them, of me, that's not a community. What you have then of somebody, if I know you and I watched you and I know you all about your daily practice and your cards and what your new deck is and all these things, and where you live and where you went on vacation and when you lost your job, when you got a new job, and when you're going to spend the weekend with who knows who and whatever, and you know nothing about me, and you know nothing about me because you don't watch anything that I broadcast, that's not a community. I'm not part of your community, I'm your audience. And that's a big difference. That's a really big difference. And so, that's all I wanted to say, I think. again, please don't, I hope I'm not trying to argue the point. I don't need a response to this. I think it's just people have different opinions. People have different life experiences. People have different sensitivities. And I think we just have to really accept that. But I hope that we can go forward into the future. I'm not sure that the live chats are ever going to be a thing of the past, or we can tear them down, or... But, I think sometimes you get to the point where you're going to say, like me, with my tag and my one subscriber, my one person that participated. I did that tag, and I spent a lot of time on that, and I got one response, and of course I said, after that, I won't be doing that again. Notice I didn't attempt to have a giveaway at 200,000 or 3,000 or whatever. I've never done it again. I don't, I participate in tags, but I don't really start them. I've kind of stopped asking people to look at spreads, because I don't think they, I don't think there's an interest in my spreads. I don't know. I don't know what to say. But I think that's what happens to people. If you don't get a response to whatever you're doing, you're inquiring about, you're not going to keep inquiring. You'll eventually stop. And if that's an act of hostility, then I guess that's what it is. But I don't intend it to be that way. It's hurtful when it happens over and over. It's hurtful. It's better to not do it and then not be hurt. It's better to not worry about it and not be hurt. It'd be nice sometime to, be able to maybe participate in some of the chats. I will try. Like I said, I wish they weren't 2.5 hours long, because that's just not going to happen for me. I can't do that. Anyway, that's all I had to say. That's all I had to say. I wish both of you great success and peace and blessings. And I am, as always, Rebecca, the Good Wife. Thank you for watching.